Chosen one, this isn't meant for everyone, not because it's dangerous, but because it's sacred. Some messages are hidden, not out of fear, but out of protection. And if you're here right now, it's because something beyond chance arranged this moment. You didn't scroll into this by accident. You were guided here, quietly, intentionally, at the exact second your spirit could receive it. There's a reason your heart feels alert while your surroundings remain ordinary. A reason the noise of the world faded just enough for this message to reach you. You've been walking through shadows that no one else could see, carrying questions you never spoke aloud, wounds you learned to function around, and a calling that kept returning no matter how many times you tried to ignore it. Does it feel like you've been investigated by life itself, tested in silence, refined in secret, and chosen one? Before we go deeper, pause for a moment, hit subscribe, like, and comment Amen if your spirit is already responding. Because this message is about to speak directly to you, not to your surface mind, but to the part of you that's been listening for confirmation all along. You've survived battles that never made headlines. You learned how to smile while deciphering pain, how to stand upright while your inner world was rearranging itself. There were seasons when clarity felt just out of reach, like light behind fog. And yet something kept telling you not to quit, not to expose everything, not to explain yourself too soon. That wasn't confusion. That was instruction. God does not reveal everything at once, especially not to those who are being prepared for greater responsibility. Some truths are concealed because premature exposure would invite interference. Think about it. Why would something fragile be placed in the open before it's fully strengthened? Why would a seed be lifted into the light before its roots have gone deep enough to survive the storm? You've felt this tension, haven't you? The urge to speak versus the pull to remain silent. The desire to be seen versus the knowing to stay hidden just a little longer. That's because heaven has been shaping you in the unseen, teaching you discernment, patience, and timing. While others rushed for validation, you were being trained for alignment. This message carries mystery for a reason. It isn't here to excite your ego. It's here to awaken your awareness. There are movements happening behind the scenes of your life that don't need commentary yet. Doors aligning, distractions dissolving, protection activating in ways you may not recognize until later. Have you noticed how certain exposures were delayed? How certain plans didn't move forward when you thought they would? That wasn't denial, that was divine concealment. Chosen one, God doesn't want this revealed yet. Not publicly, not prematurely, not to everyone. Some truths are meant to be carried, not announced. Guarded, not broadcasted. When the time comes, you won't need to explain. The results will speak louder than words ever could. So stay with me. Listen with your spirit, not your impatience. Let the weight of this moment settle instead of rushing past it. What's about to unfold isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to steady you. Because once you understand why silence has been your shield, you'll realize something powerful. This moment was timed. This message was assigned. And what's been hidden is about to make sense. Chosen one, there is a reason silence has wrapped itself around your life lately, almost like a soft warning and a gentle embrace at the same time. This is not emptiness. This is not punishment. This is protection. Something sacred is forming within you and around you, and anything still being shaped must be shielded before it can stand on its own. Think about it. The most valuable things are never left exposed while they are unfinished. They are covered, guarded, and allowed to mature without interruption. What is unfolding in your life right now is still delicate. Not weak, delicate. There is a difference. A seed is not fragile because it lacks power. It is protected because its power hasn't surfaced yet. And in this season, you are the seed. Your ideas, your healing, your next move, your spiritual expansion, they are still rooting themselves beneath the surface. Can you feel that quiet tension? That sense that something is happening, even though nothing looks dramatic on the outside? Silence is not asking you to disappear. It is asking you to conserve. When you speak too soon, you invite opinions that don't carry wisdom, energy that doesn't carry intention, and eyes that don't know how to honor what you're becoming. Not everyone who listens is meant to understand. Not everyone who asks questions deserves answers. And not everyone who smiles at you is aligned with your growth. Have you noticed how some people observe more than they support? This is why silence doesn't mean fear. It means safety. It means you are finally discerning where your energy belongs. You are learning that not every thought needs a witness, not every plan needs approval, and not every breakthrough needs to be announced. Silence creates a sacred container where God can work without interference. It removes pressure. It removes expectation. It removes the urge to perform instead of become. There is also something deeper happening here. Silence sharpens your hearing. When external noise fades, your inner guidance grows louder. You begin to recognize intuition instead of anxiety. You learn the difference between urgency and alignment. In quiet moments, truth rises naturally, without force. Have you felt your inner voice becoming clearer lately? Less frantic, more steady? That's not coincidence. That's refinement. Chosen one, protection doesn't always look like walls. Sometimes it looks like pauses, delays, unspoken plans, unanswered questions. God often hides what is holy until it can stand in its full authority. Remember, even light needs darkness before it can be revealed without being distorted. Too much exposure too early can weaken what was meant to be powerful later. You may feel the urge to explain yourself right now, to prove that something is happening, to justify your stillness. But ask yourself, who are you explaining to and why? When you are truly aligned, explanation becomes unnecessary. Presence speaks, results speak, energy speaks. Silence teaches you that validation is not required for divine movement. This season is not about shrinking, it is about stabilizing. You are being positioned, not paused, and what you protect now will protect you later. The wisdom to stay quiet today becomes the strength to stand firm tomorrow. So let your silence be intentional, not anxious. Let it be calm, not tense. Let it be rooted in trust, not fear. Because what is forming in your life does not need commentary, it needs care. And when the time comes for it to be revealed, it won't need defending. It will arrive complete, steady, undeniable. Until then, chosen one, let silence do its sacred work. Chosen one, as your truth sharpens, not everyone will be able to stand in its light. This is not arrogance, and it is not isolation. It is awareness. Truth is powerful, and power always reveals who is ready and who is not. When you begin to see clearly, speak honestly, and live from alignment, you naturally disturb comfort zones, including those of people who once felt familiar. Have you noticed that lately? That subtle shift in how others respond when you speak from your core instead of your conditioning? Some people will be inspired by your truth. They will feel awakened, encouraged, and quietly strengthened by your courage. Your presence will remind them of what is possible when someone chooses authenticity over approval. These are the ones who don't need explanations. They recognize truth because it resonates with something alive inside them. They don't compete with your light, they learn from it. And when you're around them, you feel expanded rather than drained. But others will misunderstand you, not because your truth is wrong, but because it threatens the narratives they depend on to feel safe. Your clarity may feel confrontational to those who survive by confusion. Your boundaries may feel like rejection to those who rely on access. Your healing may feel like abandonment to those who benefited from your wounds. This is where discernment becomes essential. Can you see how easily truth can be twisted by unready minds? There will also be those who doubt you. They may question your motives, minimize your growth, or subtly discourage your direction. Sometimes doubt doesn't come as direct opposition. It comes wrapped in concern, advice, or just being realistic. But listen closely. Does their voice strengthen your spirit or shrink it? Does it bring peace or pressure? Truth doesn't need defending, but it does need protecting. And yes, there are those who interfere. Not always intentionally. Sometimes interference comes from unresolved envy, unconscious fear, or misplaced attachment. When people feel themselves losing control over who you are becoming, they may attempt to pull you back into familiar versions of yourself. This is why God teaches discernment before visibility. Not every listener is meant to be a witness. Not every conversation is meant to go deeper. And not every truth is meant to be shared immediately. Discernment is wisdom, not secrecy. It is the ability to sense where your truth will be honored and where it will be mishandled. It is knowing when to speak and when to let silence do the work. Discernment doesn't mean you are hiding who you are. It means you are respecting who you are becoming. Think about it. Would you hand something precious to someone who doesn't know how to hold it? There is a maturity that comes with restraint. When you stop oversharing, you stop leaking energy. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop inviting unnecessary resistance. Your truth does not require consensus to be valid. It only requires alignment. And alignment often grows best in quiet spaces, away from judgment, interruption, and distortion. Ask yourself, chosen one, who has earned the right to hear your deeper truths? Who listens without trying to reshape your words? Who can sit with your honesty without becoming defensive or dismissive? These are the spaces where truth can breathe. Everywhere else, silence becomes your ally. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Remember this, even Jesus spoke in parables, not because truth was weak, but because readiness mattered, timing mattered, hearts mattered. In the same way, your truth doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. It needs to be placed carefully, spoken consciously, and shared where it will multiply rather than be misunderstood. So let discernment guide you now. Let it refine your circles, your conversations, and your disclosures. You are not here to convince. You are here to align. And when the right people hear your truth at the right time, it won't cause confusion. It will cause recognition. Chosen one, pause here for a moment because this truth requires patience to be felt, not rushed to be understood. Your growth is real, but it is not finished yet. What God is shaping within you is still unfolding layer by layer, breath by breath. Just because you can sense the shift doesn't mean it is time to announce it. Some things are still forming in the unseen, and the unseen is where the strongest foundations are built. Have you noticed how much has changed inside you lately, even if the outside hasn't caught up yet? Revealing something too early can create pressure that interrupts the process. When something sacred is exposed before it has matured, it begins to perform instead of becoming. Expectations rush in, opinions start shaping it. Energy that should be nourishing growth gets redirected into explanation, defense, or validation. And suddenly, what was meant to be organic begins to feel heavy. That's not failure. That's timing being ignored. Can you feel the difference between excitement and readiness? God's timing is not slow, it is precise. Divine timing protects what is still tender. It allows your confidence to strengthen quietly without the weight of outside judgment. It allows your wisdom to deepen without needing applause. It allows your alignment to settle so that when you do step forward, you don't wobble under scrutiny. Growth that is rushed often fractures. Growth that is honored becomes unshakable. Right now, something within you is still integrating. You're learning how to hold new boundaries. You're learning how to trust your voice. You're learning how to move without seeking permission. These lessons don't arrive all at once. They arrive through repetition, reflection, and refinement, and that takes time. If you were to reveal everything now, you'd be explaining a version of yourself that hasn't fully arrived yet. Why rush what is being perfected? First, it forms, quietly, invisibly. This is the stage where clarity sharpens, where identity solidifies, where faith becomes embodied instead of conceptual. This is where God speaks more than the world does. It may feel lonely at times, but it is deeply intentional. Formation happens in stillness, because stillness removes interference. In this stage, you're not meant to be understood. You're meant to be prepared. Then it's revealed, not forced, not announced. Revealed naturally through consistency, presence, and undeniable alignment. When something is truly ready, it does not need defending. It speaks for itself. People don't question it. They recognize it. Doors open without explanation. Resistance dissolves without confrontation. That's how you know timing has aligned with purpose. Ask yourself, chosen one, are you being called to speak or to stabilize? Are you being urged to act or to anchor? Sometimes the most spiritual move is restraint, not because you are afraid, but because you respect the process. God is not withholding from you. He is finishing the work so that when it arrives, it stays. There is a version of you that is almost complete, wiser, calmer, clearer. That version doesn't rush to be seen. It knows that revelation comes with responsibility, and responsibility requires readiness. So if you feel the urge to hold back just a little longer, trust it. That pause is not delay, it is divine refinement. Let what is forming finish forming. Let what is strengthening finish strengthening. You are not late, you are not stuck. You are in preparation. And when the moment comes to reveal what God has built in you, it will not feel forced. It will feel inevitable. Chosen one, this is a season where your power is not in what you say, but in what you notice. Right now, observation is stronger than explanation. You are being asked to watch more than you speak, to feel more than you announce, to understand before you interpret. This isn't passivity, it's mastery. Have you ever noticed how the most grounded people don't rush to explain themselves? They let reality speak first. You are meant to watch and learn in this moment because patterns are revealing themselves quietly. People are showing you who they are without words. Situations are exposing their truth without confrontation. Timing is disclosing its wisdom without urgency. When you observe instead of explain, you collect information that no argument could ever give you. You begin to see beneath behavior, beneath tone, beneath surface intention, and that level of perception is a form of spiritual strength. Announcing too early scatters energy. Explaining too much invites misunderstanding. When you speak before clarity has fully settled, your words carry uncertainty, and uncertainty attracts noise. Questions multiply, opinions intrude, your focus fractures. But when you stay quiet long enough, clarity deepens naturally. It settles into your body. It becomes embodied instead of theoretical. And once clarity is embodied, it doesn't need defending. It simply exists. Noise invites confusion because it disrupts inner alignment. External voices start competing with your intuition. Advice begins to blur discernment. You may find yourself justifying choices you haven't even made yet. That's not growth. That's distraction. Silence, on the other hand, creates space. Space for insight. Space for confirmation. Space for God to speak without interruption. Have you felt how peaceful it becomes when you stop explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand you? Silence invites understanding, not only from others, but from yourself. In quiet moments, you begin to hear your own wisdom more clearly. You recognize what resonates and what drains you. You notice what feels aligned and what feels forced. Observation sharpens intuition. It trains you to trust what you sense instead of what you're told. And once intuition is strengthened, guidance becomes effortless. This is also a time where restraint is protecting you. By observing instead of reacting, you avoid unnecessary entanglements. By listening instead of correcting, you preserve your energy. By waiting instead of declaring, you allow truth to rise on its own. There is a confidence that comes from knowing you don't need to convince anyone of your growth. The evidence will show itself in time. Think about this. Chosen one, how much have you learned simply by staying still lately? How many answers arrived when you stopped asking the wrong questions? Observation aligns you with wisdom because it removes ego from the equation. It replaces the need to be right with the desire to be aligned. And alignment always outlasts explanation. Right now, your assignment is not to clarify your position, it's to clarify your perception. Not to narrate your journey, but to understand it. When the time comes to speak, your words will carry weight because they will be grounded in truth, not reaction. Until then, let silence work on your behalf. You are not being hidden. You are being refined. You are not being ignored. You are being instructed. Stay observant, stay centered, stay still enough to see clearly. Because what you are learning now, quietly, will guide you powerfully later. Chosen one, there will come a moment when everything you've been protecting in silence will no longer need words. Not because you finally found the right explanation, but because the truth will arrive already complete. When the time is right, it will speak for itself. And when it does, you'll recognize the difference immediately. There will be no anxiety in your chest, no urge to clarify, no need to convince. Just stillness, just knowing. Right now, you're being trained to trust timing over reaction. You're learning that what is truly aligned does not require defense. When something is born of God, it carries its own authority. It doesn't ask permission to exist. It doesn't seek validation to be real. It stands, quietly at first, until the moment it is meant to be seen. Have you noticed how the most powerful truths don't announce themselves loudly, but arrive with undeniable presence? You won't need to explain or defend what God reveals because it will be self-evident. The right people will understand without translation. The right doors will open without force. The right outcomes will unfold without manipulation. When alignment is present, resistance dissolves naturally, and that's how you'll know. Not by applause, but by ease. Truth doesn't rush because it isn't afraid of being missed. It knows it will be recognized when the observer is ready. Rushing comes from fear. Fear of being overlooked, misunderstood, or delayed. But truth is patient. It waits until the environment can hold it. It waits until you are steady enough to carry it without distortion. Can you feel how different that is from urgency? There is a reason God has asked you to remain quiet, observant, and grounded. What is forming within you needs time to mature. Premature exposure invites premature judgment. But when something is allowed to grow fully, it becomes unshakable. No explanation can add to it. No criticism can subtract from it. It simply exists, solid, rooted, undeniable. Think about the moments in your life when you knew something was right without needing anyone to agree. That calm certainty, that deep internal yes. That is the frequency truth operates on. When the time comes, you will speak less because there will be less to prove. Your presence will carry clarity. Your choices will answer questions before they are asked. Your peace will be louder than any argument. And here's the beautiful part. Chosen one. When truth speaks for itself, it also protects you. It filters who has access to you. Those who are meant to walk with you will recognize it instantly. Those who aren't will quietly fall away. No confrontation required. No explanation needed. Alignment does the work for you. Ask yourself this gently. What if you didn't need to convince anyone anymore? What if your life itself became the message? That is where you are being led. Toward a season where your growth is visible without being advertised, where your healing is felt without being announced, where your purpose unfolds without being debated. So don't rush the reveal. Don't fear the quiet. Trust the process that is shaping you beneath the surface. When the time is right, what God has placed in you will rise naturally. And when it does, it won't shout. It won't argue. It will simply stand, clear, complete, and undeniable. Stay grounded, stay patient, stay aligned. Truth is on its way, and it never arrives early or late. Chosen one. This is where the lesson deepens. This is not about doing more, proving more, or becoming louder. This is a test of trust, quiet, internal, and deeply personal. Can you hold something sacred without rushing to show it? Can you carry something valuable without needing applause to confirm its worth? This is where many stumble, not because they are weak, but because silence requires a different kind of strength. Right now, something precious is resting within you, a realization, a calling, a shift in identity, maybe even a future that hasn't fully formed yet, and the temptation is real, to explain it, to announce it, to seek reassurance that you're not imagining it. But this season is asking something higher of you. It's asking, can you trust what God planted without needing anyone else to water it? This test isn't about isolation, it's about maturity. When something is truly valuable, you protect it instinctively. You don't pass it around carelessly. You don't expose it to environments that can't honor it. And in the same way, what God is shaping in you right now needs discretion. Not because it's fragile, but because it's still becoming. Have you noticed how seeds grow underground before they ever break the surface? Seeking validation feels comforting, but it quietly hands your power away. When you need approval to feel secure, your confidence becomes dependent. But when you can hold your truth calmly, without explanation, without defense, something shifts inside you. Your center strengthens, your presence steadies, your authority grows, not because you demanded respect, but because you no longer need permission to exist as you are. Those who master silence develop a rare kind of confidence. It's not loud, it's not performative, it's grounded. They don't rush conversations. They don't overshare their plans. They move with intention, not impulse. And when they finally speak, their words carry weight because they weren't wasted. Can you feel the difference between speaking to be heard and speaking because it's time? God often tests trust by removing external reassurance, not to make you anxious, but to help you root deeper. When you stop reaching outward for confirmation, you begin listening inward more clearly. That's where discernment sharpens. That's where intuition strengthens. That's where your connection to God becomes personal, unshakable, and deeply real. This phase may feel uncomfortable at times. You might feel misunderstood. You might feel unseen. You might even question yourself briefly. But this is part of the refinement. Diamonds are not formed in open air. Gold is not purified without pressure. What is happening now is not punishment, it's preparation. You are being taught how to hold power without leaking it. Ask yourself gently, can I sit with what I know, even if no one else knows it yet? Can I trust that what God gave me doesn't need immediate recognition? Can I remain steady even when the world hasn't caught up to my growth? These are not easy questions, but answering them honestly changes everything. When this test is complete, you will notice a shift. You'll feel calmer, less reactive, less eager to explain yourself. You'll realize you don't need to announce your next move because you're confident in it. You'll move quietly, not ineffectively. That's authority. That's alignment. That's power under control. So stay grounded, chosen one. Hold what you've been given with care. Let silence do its work. You are not being delayed. You are being trusted. And those who pass this test don't just grow, they lead, remain still, remain faithful. What you're carrying is worth protecting, and you're learning how.